Joining us to discuss the hostage situation in Gaza and the protests in Tel Aviv is Bolu Michael-Biyi. He's a foreign affairs and policy analyst. Bolu, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you for doing this with us. I have to start by asking about the impact. What impact does this discovery of these 6 Israeli hostages bodies by the military have on the ongoing war with Hamas?
Seeing how the families of the deceased were, wailing, it's really heartbreaking. And we can see that the discovery has escalated the tension in the war, and it increases the pressure on the Israeli government to find a way to secure the release of the hostages, and that may actually push them to actually consider a ceasefire deal. We can see the public anger with protests springing up in different parts of Israel, which is quite unfortunate. And it's likely that Israel will pursue a more aggressive approach, to securing the remaining hostages, and that will definitely, stall or delay peace talks.
Now, with peace negotiators struggling to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas, do you think this recent development, along with the protests in Tel Aviv and pressure from hostage families, could lead to somewhat of a breakthrough?
Well, the two things can happen, and that's, increase the military response on the part of Israel, or they consider the ceasefire deal on the table. However, based on the rhetoric of the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that Hamas would pay very heavily for their action, it's a sign that they will go for the first option, which is a more aggressive military response. And that indicates that the peace talks would take longer. So I don't think there would be a big breakthrough anytime soon.
Now, Israel's President Isaac Herzog has apologized for the death of Harsh Goldberg-Prulin, a 23-year-old U.S.-Israeli hostage. Beyond an apology, what actions should the Israeli government take in response to this tragedy?
Well, they just need to intensify, negotiation, intensify their diplomatic efforts in securing a ceasefire deal. And, other things they could do, they could develop strategies to ensure as much as possible that they protect civilians, and that humanitarian aid or humanitarian negotiations, are being considered. They must not undermine Hamas in any way, because, prior to this time, I'm sure they must have been warned that if they don't agree to the ceasefire deal, that, the hostages are going to be killed. And Israel probably didn't act into that or underestimated or undermined such notices, and that has led to the death of, hostages. So they must not underestimate Hamas in any way, and actually take their word seriously and sit at the negotiation table in order to secure the release of the remaining hostages.
As war enters its 11th month, international organizations and allied countries seem to be somewhat unable to influence the warring parties. So I have to ask about alternative approaches. What alternative approaches could be, pursued to achieve a lasting ceasefire between the two?
Okay, some have been done now, and some have been done in the past. They probably just need to intensify their effort. There are certain countries that have a good relationship between the two states, so they could try to mediate via these countries. For example, Qatar and Egypt have a relationship with Israel and the Palestinian state, so they could negotiate through these countries. Also, they could also consider, reconstruction aid or sanction relief, in order to obtain a ceasefire. And provincially, they have a ceasefire. UN peacekeeping mission should be on ground to not only enforce the ceasefire, but also, try as much as possible to monitor the ceasefire. So humanitarian aid negotiation, we've seen that happen, whereby they pause for a while in order to allow humanitarian aid to go through. So they just need to kind of intensify these methodologies and these structures and system, and hopefully they'll be able to reach a ceasefire agreement.
All right. Well, Bolu, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me.
Bolu Michael-Biyi is a foreign affairs and policy analyst, and he joined us to talk about the hostage situation.